What's going on, YouTube? Vinny here, back with another book review, and I finally got that goddamn light. It was just as smart as turning the light off. Who would have thought of that? Because last video was making a huge glare, and I was an idiot and didn't realize, hey, you could just turn the light off, but we won't get into that. So, back again with a book review. And one thing that I like to do when I find an author that I really enjoy, and I'm enjoying his work, and I'm enjoying, a lot of enjoying a lot of the stuff that he's writing, and while I'm reading it, I try to devour everything that he has. Last book review was for Bay's End, and that was Edward Lorn again. Great author, phenomenal YouTuber. And this week, we're going to stick with Edward Lorn. I'm fangirling the shit out of him with Fog Warning. Very small one, not a thick book at all. If it takes you more than a day to get through this, you need to get your head examined, because this book is like, it just flies off the fucking rails. And that's what I like about the short books, is it gives the author just, limited pages, and they have to, come in for the kill right from the jump. And with Fog Warning, in just typical Edward Lorn fashion, takes place in Bay's End. Bay's End. If you haven't, heard enough about Bay's End from the last video, Bay's End is a town with a lot of demons, and it's just a place Edward Lorn created where people's demons and ghosts go to hide, is the way I would try to describe it. So Fog Warning follows Brent Cummings, who's an emergency room physician who is also a drug addict. His drug of choice is, I believe it's Oxycontin. And he uses it frequently. And, his other colleagues in the hospital take notice to this. They notice some moments that he's, up and going, and then when he takes his oxys, he gets that euphoria, but he also starts moving in slow motion. So people notice that, and one night as he's going home, he is walking through the park, and he sees a body. And the reason why he's walking through the park is because he's in no shape to drive. So I should say that from the jump. That's how high he is, that even he knows, I can't be driving. And I'm not going to spoil it, but that right there is also a pivotal part of the book, why he does not drive while he is under the influence. So, without spoiling too much, and without word vomiting myself, as he's walking through the fog, he stumbles upon a body. A woman who was, viciously murdered. And he just sees her, sticking out through the fog. So he has a choice, because he has his stash on him. And he picks the choice of, I need to call the police. So he goes and he steps away from the body for a minute to go get the police. And when he comes back, body's gone. Body's gone. There's no trace of it. There's no nothing. So right away, the cops, looking at his pupils, see that he's under the influence. He's on, some sort of pills or something. So they pat him down and they find his stash. And from that point on, he's taken in and he's released through bail. From that point on, it becomes sort of a mystery. This is, again, it has supernatural elements to it, but it is, again, like I don't want to say mystery. It's like a thriller, like a supernatural thriller, so to speak. Because Fog Warning, what it basically is now Brent Cummings is in certain places, and a big fog rolls in, and he starts seeing that dead woman in the fog. And I'm not going to put too much, but basically giving him a warning in the fog of things to come, because there clearly is a killer who's out on the loose, and he's murdering young women. So that's where the title Fog Warning comes in. And there's so much that I'm leaving out in this book, because, again, I don't want to spoil it, but there's so much in just this short amount of pages that this only took me, again, a day to read it. I couldn't stop. I was with, again, people, carried my book. At work, carried my book. And just Edward Lorn is able, again, in similar fashion to all his other books that I've read, Sound of Broken Ribs, Bay's End, he creates a character in a short amount of time that you grow and become, it's not. I hate a book where it's just. And I know Stephen King says it where you and I might have even said that in the last video. I like getting close to my characters in the beginning and kind of getting a picture in my head of what he or she, whoever it is, looks like. So right from the jump, you learn about Brent Cummings' demons. You learn about what makes him, what is causing his addiction and what's causing it to get worse. And there's elements of this book, again, that are supernatural and that they are uncomfortable. I love a book that when you're reading it, you have to, peek over your shoulder and sort of just look at where you're at because you got that uncomfortable feeling of like I just accredit it to like being watched. So again, Edward Lorne's characters, this guy is, his characterization is up here. I love it. And again, in a very short amount of time. And with this book, the ending of this, again, won't spoil it, but typical Edward Lorne fashion. Because originally when I heard a fog warning, I thought it was going to be something like The Mist, to be completely honest with you. That there's bugs or something in the, aliens. And what he did was just make a supernatural thriller out of it, where this physician, Brent Cummings, with the fog, is trying to figure out who's killing these women and if he can prevent it. It's almost like when Johnny, the man with the most like tip, I forget what they call him, Johnny Smith in the Dead Zone, when he touches you, he's able to see it. This one, it's when the fog rolls in, and there's a scene when he's in the kitchen in a house, and I'll leave it at that. He's at a friend's house, and the fog rolls in, and he sees a dead girl standing in the kitchen. I was in the kitchen at the time when I was reading it, and it gave me goosebumps. And like I said, I'm not one of those people that I'm terrified of books and that I have nightmares, but there are scenes in books that, get me creeped out, and that was definitely one of them. And again, just another book, another great book, great characters. The plot roll is really good. There's no, he doesn't leave too much like information that you're not, again, I'm a big guy that I can't stand like when authors sometimes just fill up pages just to fill them up. Everything that goes in every page for Edward Lorne is necessary. It's creepy. It invokes emotions out of you. So this one is another one. Again, I'm gonna give it how many stars? I hate being cheesy and always giving them 10 out of 10, but I am just one of those people. So like it or leave it, another 10 out of 10, 5 stars, whatever we're going to give him, Edward Lorne novel. Honestly, he's becoming one of my favorite authors. Like I said, I'm one of those guys that I devour an author's books once I learn, once I read one book, and if it's like a snowball effect. I just try to devour everything, because right now I'm actually reading The Bedding of Boys, which I might do another review on another author, but that one is and even with fog warning, going back to that, Edward Lorne's able to write situations that people might read them and think, like, who would want to read this? Who would want to read such a horrible thing? Similar with Richard Lehman, Jack Ketchum, authors that he like, Edward Lee, a lot of the leisure fiction authors, like Wrath James White, who would want to read these situations that are just vulgar, but those situations without purpose are disgusting. If you're just reading it and this guy's like writing about whether it's a murder or rape, so be it. What Edward Lorne does is his violence is purposeful. It is important to the story. It's not violence without just meaningless violence. So even in this book, the messed up scenes and just certain things like that, certain elements that he incorporates in his book are absolutely necessary. Is this better than Bay's End? Fuck no. And not in a bad way. But Bay's End is still one of his top books. But again, this is another Bay's End novel and sort of pivotal, I guess, in the Bay's End, the destruction, it sounds like, a Bay's End. So again, give Fog Warning a read. Go to Edward Lorne's channel, subscribe, go to Amazon, buy his books. And hopefully next week, or maybe in a few days, I'm going to be back and maybe be doing like Stephen King or maybe some of the leisure fiction, because I read a few Brian Crean, I was gonna call him Brian Keene. Uh, Darkness on the Edge of Town. I actually, like I said, I read and I listen to Audible, and that book was another quick one. But again, everybody, go on Amazon, get your hands on some Edward Lorn, enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next week with another review. See ya.